What's up guys, Brandon Washington here, and in today's video, DJI has done it again. Last week we saw that they actually dropped the Ronin S and the brand new Osmo Mobile 2, and it looks like today they just released the new DJI Mavic Air. And in this video, I'm going to tell you guys what I think about it, some of the specs, and I'll let you know if I think this guy here is going to get replaced. Welcome to the channel, guys. If this is your first time checking out one of my videos, please consider hitting that subscribe button, because if this is your first time but you love filmmaking gear, photography, tips, tricks, tutorials, all that great stuff, this is a perfect channel for you. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But like I said earlier, DJI just released the brand new Mavic Air. Now, I've been super excited and waiting for a brand new Mavic. The Mavic is by far my favorite drone. I've flown a lot of drones in the meantime. I've had Phantoms, I've had the Mavic, I've even gone outside of DJI and tried drones like the Unique and even the actual GoPro drone. But I always come back to the Mavic. The Mavic, in my opinion, is the best drone to ever be created. It's incredibly smooth, it's incredibly portable, and it's extremely powerful, especially in that image quality and something so small and compact. And so when I found out that DJI was going to be announcing a brand new Mavic today, I was basically on pins and needles. I watched the entire event live, and I want to talk to you guys first about a couple of the things that stood out to me as highlights on this brand new Mavic Air. All right, so obviously the first thing that stands out on the new Mavic Air is the new design. This thing is incredibly small, even smaller than the current Mavic, which is surprising because obviously we saw the Spark, which was a smaller drone, but it didn't have the foldable legs to allow it to be something that's really easy and compact where you wouldn't need a case for it. Well, now the new Mavic Air is a little bit bigger than the Spark, but still has those great Mavic foldable legs. This is something that I'm really excited about because that's the #1 reason why I like my current Mavic. I love the fact that I can have this powerful drone that can fold down, I can put it in any backpack or existing camera bag and be able to run and gun with this thing. The hardest thing about big drones is actually having to carry them, and especially if you're going to be taking it on like hikes and things like that, where like for example, I actually took my Mavic to the top of the Hollywood sign. We had a Phantom 4 with us when we were going to actually do this hike, and we realized that it was just too big to try to carry it up the mountain. So I love small and compact drones, and especially when they give you 4K. So that's the next big thing. You are still going to be able to get 4K out of this drone. Now, it only goes up to 30 frames per second, which I'm a little bit, a little salty about, to be honest with you, but I think it's okay. Primarily, I find myself shooting at 4K 24 frames. It's a very cinematic kind of frame rate. Plus, if you're using the right filters and you set your shutter speed right, you can get some amazingly smooth footage if you fly right. Now, although they didn't do too much of an upgrade on the camera other than taking it up to 100 megabytes per second as far as write speeds, which should give us a higher quality 4K, we did get more sensors on this guy. So now you not only have sensors on the front and bottom, but now they've added sensors to the back. This is so big, especially if you're trying to get some really cool pull away type shots on the Mavic. These sensors are basically a godsend. That was one of the very first things I loved about my Mavic when I got it and I did my initial review on my Mavic, was I loved how well the sensors worked. However, I did notice immediately by not having sensors behind the drone, it made me feel a little bit more kind of uncomfortable to get some of those pull away shots. Well, now with sensors behind it, I feel a whole lot more comfortable being able to fly and really get some amazing stuff. Now, in typical DJI fashion, they've added in a couple new flight modes with this guy. Now, I've never been someone who's really used a lot of flight modes, but the Boomerang one that they just announced with the Mavic Air seems to be really cool. I like that ability to do a quick reveal showing you flying the drone and showing whatever it is that you were looking at. It looks to be a very cool movement with the drone, and something that I know personally, even as a very skilled pilot who's been flying for a couple years now, would still be a very difficult shot to obtain without the Boomerang mode. Along with these intelligent flight modes, they've also added some new additional motion sensors to the actual drone. So if you are one of those people who were liking the Spark for some of the hand gestures that you could do, They have brought that over to the Mavic Air. I personally am not someone who will probably see myself using those, maybe for a review, but in real world flight, I just don't see myself using those. But for people who just want to maybe capture that quick selfie or to be able to just kind of show those off to their friends, it might be pretty cool. And probably the last thing that I thought was very interesting about the brand new Mavic, and this probably went over a lot of people's heads, but for me it's pretty awesome, is that they've actually packed in 8 gigabytes of onboard storage. Now, 8 gigabytes doesn't sound like a lot. You still want to have an SD card in your Mavic, but I can't tell you how many times I have been, I've gone out shooting, I came home, I was dumping my memory card onto my computer, and then I took my Mavic, I ran out of the house to go get another job or do another shoot, and then I realized I did not have my SD card. Well, now you have 8 gigabytes of built-in storage, which means you can get high quality video without an SD card onto the Mavic itself, which I think is awesome. You have been able to record it to your phone, but then you're only actually getting it at 1080p. So now that even if you don't have an SD card, in a pinch, you can still capture 8 gigabytes of 4K footage directly to the Mavic Air, I think is absolutely amazing, and I'm really excited about that. Now, although this drone has a lot of really cool features to it, and I'm super excited about it, there are a couple things that I am a little bit kind of lackluster on. I mentioned it earlier, but the first is the camera. I am excited that we are getting 4K at 100 megabytes per second, but I'm really kind of bummed that they didn't include 60 frames per second at that 4K. Now, I'm not someone who likes to shoot a lot of slow motion drone footage, but it is nice to have. As a lot of you guys who've been following me for a while may know, I have the 1DX Mark II, and this is an amazing camera, and from time to time, I do shoot this camera at 4K 60, and so it'd be really cool to have a nice portable drone that could match that. Again, it's not the end of the world for me, but it is something that I wish it had. The next thing that I wish it had was a longer battery life. I mean, this thing really only gets 21 minutes, and that's what they're saying is the max flight time. Now, if you guys have ever flown your drone, you'll know that whatever that flight time is they say you'll get, you can pretty much take about 5 minutes off that time. And that's because you're gonna need time to get your drone up in the air, get it to wherever you're positioning it to start getting your shots. You gotta get those shots, and then before your drone hits 10%, you gotta be able to get this thing back home. At around 15, it'll start to try to come home on its own, and at about 10%, if you've ever been in a situation like I have, trying to get every little percent out of your battery, you'll know that it'll just start landing on its own. So depending on how far away you are from what you're trying to shoot, 21 minutes might not be enough time to get everything you need. So you're gonna have to really make sure you're planning out your shots before you even take this thing off the ground. And last but not least, the last thing that I'm really not too excited about is the range. Now, with my Dji Mavic, you can get about 4 miles of flight, which I've honestly actually kind of pushed this a little bit, and I've actually gone a little bit over 3 miles away from my position, and it's worked great. I've been able to keep signal, I've been able to fly it, haven't had any cutouts, any issues whatsoever. But the new Mavic is saying that it's only going to be able to get about 2.5 miles of range. Now, I think this has to do with the new system using Wi-Fi in order to actually bring back that signal instead of DJI's like actual proprietary system. But this part makes me a little bit nervous. I actually flew the Spark not too long ago, and it uses kind of the same or a similar style Wi-Fi in order to send that signal back and forth. And I kept running into issues, so much so that I never actually even put out my full review on it because I couldn't get it to really work well. So this is something that I'm a little nervous about with the Mavic Air. I'm hoping that DJI, through the time since the Spark has come out and now with the new Mavic Air, has been able to fix this. Obviously, this one has a longer range than the Spark, so something has gotten better there, but we'll have to wait for sure to find out how good it really works. All right, so I've covered a lot of the good, I've covered a lot of the bad, some of the things I like and don't like about the new Mavic Air. And so ultimately, where do I fall, or who do I think this drone is great for? Well, I think the name really gives us a lot of indication of what this drone is all about. See, we have had Phantom 4s, and then we got the Phantom 4 Pro, which was kind of the upgraded model of the Phantom 4. And in that situation, they gave us a better camera, they gave us some more sensors, they gave us a lot of extra. Well, here, I feel like they kind of did things a little bit backwards. They gave us the Mavic Pro, and then they gave us the Mavic Air. But the Air has a slightly better camera, but yet the Pro has a better battery life. The Air has more sensors, but the Pro can fly further. So I feel like we're kind of in this really weird situation where we've gotten an Air, which in my opinion does not replace the Pro. I actually find that it falls right in the middle between, or maybe a little bit leaning more towards the Pro, between the Spark and the Mavic Pro. But hopefully we'll actually get an update, an actual new Mavic Pro. I like the idea of the Air. I love the size of it. I love how small it is, compact, all the new sensors, everything they've added to this thing. Obviously, they're thinking about creators and trying to make it as easy as possible for creators to get those awesome shots. But there are just a few things that have me a little bit nervous about this new Mavic Air. But I personally don't see myself leaving this guy. I still see myself keeping this, but that doesn't mean I'm not gonna pick up an Air. So I've actually already ordered one because I wanna get my hands on it. I wanna do a full review, and I want you guys to be able to know what I think about it. So if you guys have questions or there's certain things you guys wanna see on it, please leave those comments down below so I can make sure I add those into those videos. Also, as I mentioned before, if you're new to this channel and you love filmmaking gear, photography, drones, whatever the case may be sure to hit that subscribe button because you're not gonna wanna miss any of the videos I have coming up. And any additional questions you guys have, add those in the comments too so I can get to you guys. But with all that being said, and I know it's been a lot, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.